welcome to today's conversation about emergency preparedness. My name is Anne Benn, and I'm the Emergency Program Coordinator at the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen. And joining us in our discussion today are two individuals who were involved in the Christie Mountain wildfire last summer to share their experiences. So we have Sarika and David. Welcome. The Christie Mountain area is just outside of Penticton, but the regional district is 10,400 square kilometers, and that makes up our regional emergency management program, as well as we work closely with the 4 bands within the region. So we're here today to hear about Sarika and David's story during the Christie Mountain wildfire. And on August the 18th at 2 p.m., Christie Mountain fire broke out in the Heritage Hills area of the regional district, just outside of Okanagan Falls, outside the City of Penticton. At 4 p.m., the City of Penticton, supporting the RDOS, opened the reception center, and at 6 p.m., BC Wildfire indicated it was a rank 3 fire and growing. 319 homes were put on evacuation order, and 119 were put on alert. The City of Penticton then followed suit with an additional 3,700 homes on alert. Evacuees were notified by search and rescue to evacuate, and the notification was also provided to register online using the electronic registration assistance tool. Through the night, 1 home was lost. And additionally, the RDOS was monitoring and supporting residents through a fire at Osprey Lake and the Palmer Fire south of the border, and another one along Summerland Princeton Road. 7 days later, the Christie Mountain fire was contained, and in the end, 4,777 people were registered. So that's a bit about the event itself, but Sarika and David, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and the family that you're representing?
Thank you. Thanks, Anne. Yes, got a family of 4 and a dog. And, you know, we've been in the Okanagan for about 3 years. So, you know, we've seen the fires previous in other locations. It was just a surprise that it actually happened in our area.
And David, how about you? Your family?
Yeah, my wife and I are retired. As it turns out, our home is about 4 doors away from the house that was destroyed. Myself, as I say, I'm retired. I've been in the forest industry for quite a few decades in different facets, if you want to call it that. And among those is I've been a forest engineer and I've worked out in the woods quite a bit. The way we learned about it here in our 3 residence community here on this short stub of a road was my neighbor happened to be out, and he says, "David, do you know anything about this fire?" And I said, "What fire?" I've set up the house to be as fire smart as I could. I did that a couple of years ago. My entire place is xeriscaped, as in no vegetation close to the house. But I had already grabbed everything out of our home safe. So all of our documents are on the cloud. So we had no concerns about that. I've got digital copies of all of our photographs.
Sarika, what did you do when you realized there was a fire in the area?
Oh my God, this is it's on our mountain. Like, I couldn't believe it. And of course, immediately I'm panicking, right? So I started texting a couple of friends and I'm like, what's going on? And so obviously there's a fire. One of them said, there's likely going to be an evacuation. You should probably pack up all your stuff. And so that was rather interesting, but I'm like, what's important stuff? Like, what's important stuff, right? There's, you know, and so someone's like, well, there's passports and documents and, you know, gather up some things for the kids. I had about an hour to run around and gather everything. I'm like, I thought maybe 3 days. So I'm like, closed for 3 days. I didn't know, right? I'm like, this should be gone in a day. And so, of course, when I went outside, there was the emergency team kind of just knocking at doors and explaining the situation and what you do and, you know, register online, which was fantastic because I stopped, I paused. I'm like, okay, let me just do this and registered. And so by the time, you know, we packed up all of our stuff and we're ready to go, we had already registered. That made life really easy. And then it said where to go, you know, so it was like, okay, guys, we've got all of our stuff. Let's go.
If I understand correctly, Sarika, you found out about needing to leave more directly through search and rescue, and they directed you to go. But David, you heard about it more because you actually witnessed and you saw the fire coming down the hill, and you spoke to the emergency personnel, so firefighters and that sort of thing. So interesting that you heard about it in different ways. Did you see anything on social media or you know, on the radio or anywhere else at that point in time?
For me, I actually received a text from emergency.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a text saying evacuation, get all your stuff. You need to be out by such and such a time. So that was a confirmation. Everything else from friends were like, we're probably going to get evacuated. But when I received that text and the email, it was like, okay, this is real. We need to go.
So Sarika, you are registered with Civic Ready, which is the emergency notification system. And so that's how you receive the information. Okay, that's great.
Correct.
And what was your experience like at the reception center?
The experience with the team was amazing. I mean, everyone at the door, you know, was really welcoming. You know, they understood what you were going through, right? They were like hearts wide open. Everyone's like, you know, it's okay. Do you want some water? Do the kids want some juice? You know, do you want this? Do you want that? So that was, you know, that was really nice to have that experience, to know like, hey, you know, you're on your own, but not really. There's a team of people here who are going to help you.
So it sounds like you were quite connected, and it sounds like, although a stressful situation, you found it to be quite supportive. But David, you didn't go to the reception center, did you? You
Eventually
where did you go?
did. We ended up having a very nice place to stay with friends. As far as emergency services and accessing that is concerned, we never heard from anybody because we've never registered with anybody. But someone just said, oh yeah, you should go to emergency service and register. And okay, we went down there. Margaret sat down with one of a number of different sites and chatted with them and went through the process. She ended up saying, Sarika, that they were very caring and concerned and helpful.
And it was the services really that were offered that made it okay and acceptable, right? Because we weren't like, this is bad, we might lose our home. It was like, okay, guys, everything is going to be fine. You know, in the time that we're out, we're going to be staying at a hotel. We've got our food covered. We're okay. You guys will still be going to school, you know. So that was really nice. And that made I think to me and my family, that made a world of difference in how we received it and how we were able to manage it emotionally as well, which was really important.
What would you know, if you were to have to go and, you know, go through this again, which we hope that you never have to go through again. If you had a wish, what would it be to know before the situation?
Well, making the home as fire smart as possible for sure is always always a given. Aside from what's inside the home, the outside should also be protected. We basically, like, I had packed documents, I had packed passports, and I think the most valuable thing for me were pictures of the kids. I think, and then when we returned home, there was the indication that we might be evacuated again. And so we kind of just left everything, you know, just that way. And I think that's probably what I would do, is just to have, you know, some sort of like a plan, those pictures, have them, those are valuable, keep them in a place, you know, ready to go. The documents, I've got some on a cloud and some are not. We've got some new ones in, right? So they need to be uploaded. So it's half, but I would definitely take some time and upload, you know, documents like that.
The only thing I would suggest for people in general, it doesn't matter whether it's a flood or a fire or an earthquake, unless you're in immediate physical danger, take a few deep breaths mentally and physically. Say, okay, calm down, think this through.
So I just think the takeaways that I have from your guys' story really are about having a contact in the community and outside the community to start making that plan as to, you know, what's next. Having copies of your important documents stored somewhere easily accessible, whether it be on the cloud or with you or a copy somewhere else. And then just about information gathering, know where you're going to get that emergency information. Within the RDOS, it would be through Civic Ready or on our website, Facebook or Twitter. And then if you really want to start looking at Fire Smart and Flood Smart, there's a lot of great information on the Prepared BC website, including what to create, what you should put into a 72-hour emergency pack. So thank you very much, and really appreciate the conversation today. And thank you for your resiliency throughout this entire event. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne, for the great questions.
Thank you for doing this. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah.